Hello my friends and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have to confess again that I had and I still have a respect for the British culture, British, English people, Irish people, Scots, Welshmen, Welsh people, my bad, okay, and I still have that respect. I'm not the only one. I think they brought a lot of good in the world, and through their civilization they helped other, civilize themselves. Well, that's how I see it. The problem is, it seems like lately the British, I don't know how to call it, allowed some idiots to show up and speak in their names. And that's not really okay, because that changes people's perception of the Brits overall with these idiots. Now, I have here an article from The Telegraph. The Telegraph, I think it's a British newspaper, media outlet, however you want to call it. And I will start with the end of it by introducing the person responsible for destroying your good reputation. But let's go and I will mention this person. So this person is mentioned right here. The story is by this Mr. Hamish de Bretton Gordon. Okay, the Bretton Gordon, he is, I don't know who he is, but he lets us know in during the article that he's a smart guy and he spoke with important people. I thought, oh my God, look at that. So I'm going to start with the end of it, where we know who this Breton is, right here. Hamish de Bretton Gordon, OBE, is former commander of UK and NATO, CBRN, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear forces. So he's not an idiot. Until he wrote this article for me. Now I know who Hamish de Bretton Gordon is. Okay? Alright, let's see. I'm not concerned with the title, alright, because I've been saying this, and they being the Russians, were saying this for some time. We are now dangerously close to nuclear war. I said, whoa, yeah, okay, man. You saw the light, finally. These guys take things seriously in Ukraine. But no, Mr. de Bretton Gordon, Cordon Bleu, or Cordon Bleu, he is a little bit a weasel. Sorry to say it, Telegraph, whomever. Let's move on. And we're going to find out that Mr. Gordon Breton knows exactly who blew up the dam, and he knows it, and he knows everything. Stay tuned here with me, my friends. You're going to find everything that happened during that explosion, because Breton de Gordon knows it. Let's go. Listen to this. The blowing of the dam at the Kharkovka hydroelectric power plant, KHPP, by the Russian state. How in the you know that? Was that already determined? Hey, did I miss the memo? How does he know that? Was that an investigation, or just because someone said something? And that someone perfect, never lied, must be trusted. I thought that if you want to determine something like this, you conduct a few investigations, like the Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2 pipelines. What happened to those? Nothing. Why? Wrong person is going to be found as a perpetrator. So let's go back here. So Mr. Cordon Bleu knows that the Russian state is quite simply an actor of terror by this terrorist state. So there you have it. He knows that this dam was blown up by the Russian state, and quite simply an act of terror by this terrorist state. Yes, that's true, it's an act of terror by a terrorist actor. Do we know it's the Russians? Breton knows. Okay, let's see what evidence Breton brings. I mean, if I make such an terrible accusation, I should have clear, fantastic evidence. Okay, all right. With his army failing, no. Why do you say that? This is his point. He's going to create everything on this. His army is failing. No, I'm not convinced. Bring me the evidence. The map doesn't say that. His air force struck in its hangars. What is this talking about? It would appear. Oh, it appears. It is or it appears? It appears like it is or not? It appears. Putin is prepared to do almost anything to cling on the Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine and his throne in the Kremlin. Cordon Bleu This is, you're going to create all your argument on this statement that is not proven. First, how do you know his army is failing? According to what? Should I show you a map? Are they running back? His air force struck in hangars. Really? I thought they still commit and they still conduct airstrikes. It would appear, okay, would, could, might, should, blah, blah, blah. Prepared to do almost anything. Why? Because he's a bad man. To cling on to the Russian-occupied areas of Ukraine and his throne in the Kremlin. Well, he was democratically elected, so I don't know what to talk about. I know another guy who was also democratically elected, but he has now full power over one country. Can you name the individual? I will give you three options. Zelensky, first one. Second one is Zelensky. And the third one is Zelensky. Pick. Oh, number two? Okay, Zelensky. He has martial law in his country. So I don't know who has the throne at this point. This is another war crime. Yes, it is a war crime. To add to the growing list of whom? A list that includes an unlawful deportation of children. Only they did it, and that's an accusation, my man. Hey, Cordon Bleu, that's an accusation. Something that led to the International Criminal Court is just an international business, okay, it's not United Nations, as I explained many times, to issue a warrant for his arrest. Okay, all right, it has no jurisdiction, by the way. International Criminal Court has as much jurisdiction over Russia as it has over the United States of America. So that means no jurisdiction. And when you issue a warrant, you don't, it is not proven that that guy is guilty. This guy is here, an international organization, like for instance, you and I, let's say you're in Canada, the free country of Canada, and I'm in the free country of the United States of America. And we make an organization, or an organization of, I don't know, jerk-offs. And we make that organization and we declare that, I don't know, we declare that there's no global something. Do we have any authority? Do we have? And let's say Japan did something and we issue a declaration. We're just an organization. That's it. International, because we have Canada and United States representatives, you and I. So that's what the International Criminal Court is. No jurisdiction, he can issue how many warrants it wants. But this Cordon Bleu makes his own point on that. On almost facts. There are no facts, almost. So far he didn't provide anything. The Russian army is destroyed, okay. Putin holds his throne, okay. These are all interpretations. They are just make-believe. This is what the guy thinks, which is fine, but he said something that the Russians destroyed the dam. I'm looking for the evidence, because when you go from there, you say that it was a terrorist act, which it was, whomever did it, right? It was a terrorist act, and if that was a terrorist act, then I can think in 1999 in Yugoslavia there were some things like this blown up, and they were not terrorist acts. They were not considered that way. And by the way, immediately these guys call this a terrorist act, which there's the definition right there. You can look over there and there's a definition. But this Cordon Bleu, I don't think he called a drone attack on Moscow's civilian infrastructure, which is apartment buildings that blew up certain apartments over there, as a terrorist act, which I made a video on that, and I use a definition, and that's exactly what it is. But it was not. It was just an attack on Moscow. That's how the Western mass media called it. An attack on Moscow. That's it. No, I didn't see anywhere terrorism with Ukraine, with... No, there was nothing. But here, it is as it is. Good job, Cordon Bleu. Let's go further. All right, the Russian military motivation. All right, let's see how you interpret everything based on what evidence. Behind the blast is clear and not unexpected. All right, why is it clear? Why is it clear, the motivation? The vast area to the west of the dam is tank highway to Crimea. And Putin knows his demoralized forces, again, that's an interpretation, demoralized, okay, are likely to collapse. Based on what? On your scenario? No, I don't think they're likely to collapse. I think they're likely to conquer the world yesterday. It's not likely, I'm certain of that. How? I don't know, like you are. Like you make all these assumptions right here based on what? In the face of, hey, where are you going? Of Challenger and Leopard tanks charging towards them. Do you hear this? So he's shaking in his Quakers, Putin is because the Challenger, the Leopard attacks. Jesus Christ. The flooding will likely block this axis for many weeks. Therefore, he's gonna survive holding his throne. The ecological and agriculture, blah, blah, blah. This type of terrorism is not new. Oh yeah, I can, and is to be predicted from a tyrant. Holy moly macaroni. You got in problem here. Problem for you again. So this type of terrorism is not new and is to be predicted from a tyrant. Question. So someone blew up a dam, water dam, hydroelectrical plant, blah, 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 dam. People, ecological disaster, people remove, people die and all that. Okay, so far I think I found like 3 people died after this in a Ukrainian media outlet. Even if there are 100, it's bad. Even if it's 1,000, it's bad. But who did it? And the result was civilians' death. That's, according to Mr. a tyrant. You can expect that. What was it? Could be predicted from a tyrant. All right, well, I agree with him. But what about 2 atomic bombs dropped on 2 civilian cities? Was that predicted by a tyrant, or he was not a tyrant? Was Harry Truman, the former president of the United States of America, who agreed to drop those bombs over civilians, about what? Hundreds of thousands of people? Was what? 200,000? 100,000 people? Was that a terrorist act? Hey, Gordon, hello? Oh, see how the results are? If he uses that, he's got more crimes behind. And it's not only this one, there's more than that. This is a low-hanging fruit, the atomic bombs that I'm using, you know what I mean? I can use others, but this is the low-hanging fruit for this. So was it a terrorist act? Because it was purposely done to change a political decision by the Japanese government. That's the definition of that. Look it up in the dictionary. So, Mr. Gordon, you get into some murky waters. Yeah, it should be predicted. But also some democratic elected president of Truman, who actually became president at that time by the natural death of Mr. What's his name? Delano Franklin Roosevelt. Natural death, a little bit of a, and that was it. Drink this, my love. They're so good. What is it? Never tasted this before. You will never will again. That's what happened? No, I'm just making jokes. So anyway, and then he became president, and then he was elected one time. Remember that Dewey newspaper? Dewey was elected or whatever, and the weasel was elected. Anyway, and then it was Eisenhower. So now we have another one with a military-industrial complex speech, if you remember that one. He did it before he got out of the office. He was smarter than Kennedy, I guess. Or more weasel than Kennedy. Because Kennedy made some speeches about the secret things, and then he was killed by Oswald, unfortunately. Because Oswald was so good, only 3 bullets he used. So go back to Gordon, my friends. Gordon knows it's a fact that the Russians blew up. I don't know, because Zelensky said so. And then at the bottom, I think he says, let me see if that's accurate. He says something at the bottom that whatever it takes, let me show you that so we're not BSing here too much. Whatever it takes, we must ensure Ukraine prevails as quickly as possible, as there is still the specter of escalation to chemical, biological, and terrifyingly nuclear war. All right? So here they make again poop on Russians who killed schools, killed civilians, and killed hospitals and everything in blah, blah, blah. And then Zaporozhye nuclear power plant, and that's next, and all that. So, got it? Mr. Gordon Bleu knows everything. The Russians did it, and he knows it because he provided the evidence that you think for yourselves. Read the article calmly or stop this video and look over his statements and his supporting arguments. And you tell me. And that is again, let me see his title here. Former commander of UK and NATO, chemical, biological, radiological, nuclear forces. Don't you think he should be smart? Maybe, but he's not using that in the right way or for the good. It's my assessment. All right. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Judge for yourselves, my friends. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.